Guys, welcome to the podcast Below the Belt. Welcome to the podcast Below the Belt. Welcome to each and every one of you. Welcome to the podcast Below the Belt. Good morning, Desiree Smart Felix. Good morning, Dennis Smart Felix. Gyno Hines, good morning, guys. Again, welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. Thank you so much for all of those folks who joined us early. We are fired up, guys, and we are ready to go. Are you guys hearing us out there loud and clear? Good to have with us today the Honorable Amanzo Walton Desire will be joining us. The Honorable Amanzo Walton Desire will be joining us, guys. And we wish we had some music there. But shortly, folks, for that first part of our podcast, apologies there for the quietude on the earlier part of our podcast. Good to have you, Vicky Ramlagan. Good to have you, Jillian Anthony. Vashti Magnot is in the house. All of those folks who joined us so early, right off the bat. We had people waiting, on the back end, even before the podcast got started. Good to see you, Lauren. Good to see Lauren Jones, Claire Capel, all the folks joining us in the suburbs, YouTube, those of you who joining us in the ghetto, Facebook people problematic, Facebook people are so problematic. Good to see each and every one of you. Nonetheless, guys, we're going to be continually tweaking our podcast to bring you good audio and all the other dynamics that are synonymous with a podcast. And we are working at the back end again to produce good content for you, good information, credible and valid, and also give you a good production on the production end as well. Really great to have so many of you guys joining the podcast Below the Belt with yours truly, Sherrod Duncan. Good to see you, Lloyd Baston and Donna Samuels, Cameron Augustus, Paulette Hicks, Donna Samuels, Irwin Don Cook. Good to see you, Vashti Magnot. Happy New Year to each and every one of you guys. Happy New Year. Welcome again to our international podcast, Below the Belt. And guys, the podcast is only international because so many of you join us from around the world. And we are tremendously privileged for that. Tremendously privileged for that, guys. It is our really heartfelt desire that you guys would receive really credible information, valid information as we come on. Good to see each and every one of you. Guys, just before we get into our conversation with our esteemed guests today, Amanzo Walton Desire and Ricky Ryan Ramsey, both members of Parliament, we are going to look at some of the other stuff happening on the ground. And we're following this bit of information. I really want to give a shout out to those of you guys who join us from the diaspora, who really keep our flag flying high. And today, I saw in the Chronicle, they are highlighting a British broadcaster with Guyanese roots who has been knighted by the Queen. A British broadcaster with Guyanese roots. His name is Trevor Phillips, and it is said that he was given a knighthood for his services in equality and human rights in the New Year's honor by the British monarchy. Trevor Phillips, he's the youngest of 10 children, and he was born in London to Guyanese parents who would have emigrated from British Guyana in the 1950s. He spent his childhood in British Guyana, and while there, he studied at Queen's College. So, folks, whether by blood or by ancestry, by parentage, keep our flag flying high, keep our standard flying high. And so we want to say kudos to Trevor Phillips there in the British Empire in being honored for his service in broadcasting. We're tremendously privileged that such folks and many of you listening to us keep the flag flying high. You guys work hard, you work with integrity, you work with character, you work with values, and because of that, you keep us doing so proud. You keep us feeling so proud of the work you guys are doing in the diaspora. In addition to that, guys, we're following this fire that happened on New Year's Day. The fires of the PPP. this fire at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, and we would have told you guys yesterday it would have occurred in the echocardiograph laboratory of the GPHC, the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, and it is estimated now to have run into the millions of dollars in damages, between 25 and 30 million dollars. And Starbuck News, for instance, is reporting that arson is suspected in this fire emanating from the cardio. Let me get it right. The echocardiograph, the echocardiography there, the laboratory there at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, and we're going to be bringing more details of that to you as that becomes available. Guys, how is the weather where you are? How is the weather? Call it Pavin Lewis and Claire, Alexis Chomley, Richmond, Robin Rain, Deborah Cox. Is it Aerosol and Chevon rather, McDonald, and all the other fantastic folks? How is the weather where you are? In the national capital city of Georgetown, Guyana, where we host our international podcast from, it's 29 degrees outside. 29 degrees outside. It's picture perfect weather. We had a couple of errands just before we came into the studios, and we were out and about. Beautiful weather outside. And they're telling us that as we progress into the afternoon, we can expect 28 degrees weather. It's 29 currently, and there is a 36% chance it's going to rain this afternoon. A 36% chance it's going to rain. We're watching that. So if you guys are going to be out in the national capital city, maybe it's good to pack your umbrella in your bag, just in case. That being said, guys, it is my privilege to have my guest. I think Amanda is going to join us a little later on, but Ricky Duna Ryan Ramstrup is here with us, and I think this is the first time for the new year we're hearing from the Member of Parliament. Ricky, how you doing, Ricky? Come true. Rock and come in. Hold on, Ricky. Hold on, Ricky. You want to make sure that the guys can hear you. Just hold on for us. Give us 1 second. Let's ensure that they can hear you. Ricky?
Yes, Sherrod.
Go right ahead now. From the top. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Sherrod, for having me. And I want to say good day. To all your listeners and viewers with social media across the country and around the world. I've seen a lot of persons joining around the world, and we have to continue to do what we have to do.
Yeah. Ricky, how was 2021 for you? How was 2021 as a year?
2021 was a bit it was challenging. It's more than challenging, I want to say, because we had the pandemic to deal with. We had the political arena to deal with. We had economic problems to deal with, and we had flooding and all these other things that's happening around. And the most devastating one is the pandemic, which seems the numbers seem to be climbing and not reducing, and it's very troublesome.
And to add to that, the Jacobins ain't manage COVID properly at all. Internationally, they talk about COVID governance. Oh, the governance on COVID, like many other aspects, was very, very poor. Very, very poor, MP.
Sherrod, when we were in government, we try our best to flatten that curve. Up to now, we haven't heard about this, for them to try to flatten that curve. They even relaxed the curfew. When they relaxed the curfew up to yesterday, the figures was of 281. Cases. I was reviewing the statistics, COVID-19 chart that they have, and it's kind of shocking when you look at the results that is there.
Yep.
When you look at the policies that they're implementing, we have seen the Omicron, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, but yet up to now, there's no disclosure if we have it in Guyana. But yet we are forced to opening schools and all these sort of things. The full blast. So it's kind of troublesome now. We start in the year with these kind of things. It's trouble for Guyana. 2022, Sherrod, I mean, God help us in 2022 because it's already predicted by the economists that 2022 we really have to brace for impact.
Very much so, very much so. And Ricky, what are there things in particular you're looking forward to? We're about to bring Amanda Watson, the member of Parliament, into the conversation. Are there particular things you're perhaps looking forward to in this new dispensation, this new year?
Yeah, well, I was hoping for us to do that, especially when it comes to the Natural Resources Fund bill. I thought that we would have really worked together to ensure that we had the right management and accountability and transparency in a democratic system of governance for that fund. But it seems, as you know what happened, it seems that will not.
Yep. Guys, we're going to have Ricky right back with us. Yep. Go ahead, Ricky.
And expose, we got to keep exposing these people. We got to do more monitoring. We have to keep looking at the policies that they're implementing, the projects that they will implementing, because Sharad, more than I do, that the reasons why we don't trust them in terms of project and having a good oversight committee is that you remember the fiber optic cable, $80 million. You remember the Skeleton Sugar Factory, $200 million. You remember the specialty hospital, $50 million disappeared. You remember the project, the hydro project, $50 million on the road, and you're still going to complete that road. You understand? You remember the projects like the Clico fiasco. You understand? You remember the Barbies Bridge that they got their own friends to be investing in that. So my point is that we can't trust them in terms of project, and that is the reasons why Oversight Committee was so important. Where you have the most important, you have the civil society in play. You had the regional representation from Region 1 to Region 10 in play. You had the first people like the Transparency Initiative. You had the Bar Association, the religious organization. You have the opposition there, the government there, and the private sector, of course, will be there. And looking over this fund and with best way possible how we can manage it. So that will make now our work in 2022 much harder as in opposition. But we will continue to do what we have to do. We'll have to keep exposing them what they do. We'll have to keep, and I want to tell our listeners and viewers here that they also have a role to play.
That's right.
Because when they have the information, they have to share it, and don't be afraid. This is where we're taking the fight. This money that is there is our money. It is your children's money. It's the current and future generation money. So it's not the PVP money. We have to get this quite clear. We have to get it quite clear. And I don't know, and I keep talking about this trust issue because the PVP, when they came into power, before they came into power, they're talking about reopening back of sugar estates. We have pumped over $10 billion already in Gaisuku. And recently you can hear the statement from the vice president stating that there's no guarantee that sugar estate is going to be reopened. There's no timeline to that. I've seen on the president's social media page that they have a factory going to set up in Enmore Estate. It is telling you, my friends, the message is that the sugar estate will never be reopened.
What they really did was give false promises. That's what they give to the people, false promises.
And that is what we have to depose from these people. And that's what I'm telling you is making our work harder and harder because they keep baptizing and hypnotizing these people in a false economy, in a false narrative that we put our work more hard. So we have to now expose that and ensure that people understand the reality.
Very well, and you know you hit the nail on the head there. People got the public, whether at home or in the diaspora, got their part to play as well as we continue to let them know what the reality is on the ground here. I think we have a Manza with us now, and I want to welcome the Member of Parliament, the Honourable Member of Parliament, Manza Walton Desir, to our discussion. Manza, are you here with us?
Good afternoon, Sherrod. Good afternoon, Ricky. Yes, I'm here with you. And good afternoon to our listening audience.
Fantastic. Good to have you, Amanda. Amanda, how was 2021 for you?
2021.
You look like you're trying to make up your mind.
2021 was the most challenging period for me. I mean, personally, I lost my mom late 2020. So having to deal with that and then dealing with the vicissitudes of politics. But all in all, it has made me stronger. I'm grateful for the challenges because I have learned, I have grown. And so I say, to God be all the glory. My approach to life is that in every challenge, there's an opportunity. And so once you can identify the opportunity and learn the lesson, you always grow and evolve. So challenging, but good.
Fantastic. And as I asked MP Junarain Ramsuru, what are you perhaps looking forward to in 2022, this new year that's upon us?
Well, as it relates to Guyana, I am looking forward to our people becoming a little more militant and vigilant as it relates to the future of this country. We, the people of Guyana, must understand that Guyana belongs to all of us, that no one set of people are more entitled to it than the other, and that for us to safeguard our independence and our freedom, we have to work. 2022 is going to be a very challenging year for us as Guyanese. And so I think from the outset, we have to determine of ourselves that we will be ready to face the challenges, whatever they are. We cannot, as a citizenry and as a people, afford to say, you know what, that is about the politicians, it doesn't concern me. It touches and concerns you, your children, and your children's children directly. I don't think that we have fully grasped the implications of what happens when a country becomes an oil-producing economy. It can go either one of two directions. And it appears to me that we are on the downward trajectory. And so I think Guyanese have to brace themselves because I foresee a myriad of challenges. And what I want to say to us as Guyanese is that we look at other countries that are developed and we must understand that they didn't get there by waving a magic wand. It required an engaged citizenry that held their political leadership, held their feet to the fire, and that demanded more and demanded better. And so we as Guyanese have to understand that we have to hold our political leaders to account for how they govern this country. So Sherrod, my admonition to us is that we need to gird up our loins, as they put it in the Bible, because I foresee there's some challenging times ahead.
Wow. You know, in our part one of the podcast, we had Kemraj on with us, Kemraj Ramjatan, Member of Parliament, leader of the Alliance for Change, and we had Ronald Austin as well. And Kemraj was a little liberal, a little in his outlook in terms of the way 2022 might go in response to the Jagabats, can't put it any other way, in terms of them being a little more engaging to the opposition and where we stand as well, and being a little more engaging to them. And we were looking at it in the context of the New Year's statement that was put out of the leader of the PNCR, Comrade Aubrey Norton. And he was very liberal in his outlook of the kind of year we might have. Ronald Austin, the historian and writer, author, columnist, was less so, saying to us that past behavior is a good indicator of future behavior. And then yesterday, in part 2 of our discussion on this very topic about the political prospects for 2022, we spoke with Tabitha Sarabo Halley, the Member of Parliament, and the young economist Elson Lowe, and they seem to have shared some of the sentiments of Ronald Austin, less optimistic than Kemraj was. But Kemraj has that wide outlook, 50 years in politics, 50 plus, have a good sense of the political rhythm of the nation. Mansa, you seem rather less optimistic too.
Sharon, I am less optimistic, and I tend to agree with Ronald Austin in his conservative outlook, because indeed, past behavior and past conduct is the best indicator of future action. And so the PPPC has shown no intention of being an inclusive government. And so from today onward, every word that Irfan Ali speaks will ring hollow, because he had the perfect opportunity to demonstrate the type of leadership and governance that Guyanese people so badly need at this point in the history of our country. And he dropped the ball. He instead gave in to his lesser angels and participated in that farce of a natural resource fund bill that they tried to ram through Parliament, and which we continue to maintain has been illegally passed, therefore null and void. He continues to be a part of that charade. Instead of showing the statesmanship that could have possibly defined the rest of his presidency, he took the other route. And so he has lost all credibility in my eyes and a wide cross-section of the Guyanese public. Because you had an opportunity to say, look, let us sit, let us discuss, let us come around the table. This is Guyana's future. But instead of that, he allowed political expediency and just rank dishonesty to be the order of the day. And this is why I am not optimistic about the outlook for the year. I am saying to Guyanese that this year will be a landmark year in our history. This is the year that we will be able to look to see was the turning point for either better or for worse. And how it plays out is largely dependent on Guyanese people. You think the crime and security situation has deteriorated? Wait until hyperinflation hits. You believe that you are safe in your jobs that are cushy and comfortable and your air-conditioned homes and your cars? Hold on. All will be involved and all will be consumed unless the people of Guyana decide that we will not allow it to get to that point. And I hate to sound like the prophet of doom, but I see it. And as a nation, we are too lukewarm in defense of our sovereignty. We are in danger of becoming a handout state. You notice there is a big controversy on social media right now about a particular charitable effort that took place this weekend. And let me say, Sherrod,
I am heading there. Going to hear about
Well, I will wait for you to head there. I will wait for you to head there.
so let us deal with that frontally. Both MP Walton Desir and Ramsarup. And for those persons who are joining us, welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. I'm yours truly, Sherrod Duncan. We have with us the Honorable MPs, Amanda Walton Desir and Ricky Dionarine Ramsarup joining us. Good to see you out there. Candace Wilson, I see you. Diane Graves Zanley, Faith Joseph, we see you as well. Cecile Ogle, we see you. Yul Alicock, all you other fantastic folks like Esther Blue. Good to see all of you guys. Roxanne Aaron joining our international podcast. As Amanda was venturing into this discussion, we've been covering this story as well for our affiliate website, Credible Sources, which can be found at crediblesourcesgy.com. And in the context of what another MP, due to finance, put out there over the weekend, we saw this effort being led by Team Mohammed of Mohammed's Enterprise fame. I'm quoting from the story on Credible Sources, led by Asruddin Mohammed. And MP Finance, gave kudos to the activity and said it was welcomed in the context that lots of Guyanese people are starving. That's what she said. And she said it is the PPP install regime that is creating law to further entrench Guyanese in poverty. Your thoughts, both Amanda Walton Desir MP and Ricky Dionarine.
Sharad, as I said, it's a betrayal. The PP has betrayed the people of Guyana. It's a treacherous behavior by these people. They don't understand. There's a disconnect from them versus the community level. There's a disconnect. And let me explain that.
Talk to us.
The policy that they created here and in the Natural Resources Bill, which is supposed to provide a trickle-on effect to the community level, each community in this country is not going to be there. I have asked in my presentation that they should have included, especially the local content bill, they should have included a 40% of subcontractors owned by Guyanese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We look at Uganda policy. Uganda have a population of 75 million plus. We have a population just about, I don't think we meet a million. I think it's about 750,000 maybe, or just below that.
Since we born.
Right, exactly. So that is, I was stuttering that figure because sometimes you have to balance these things. So if those persons could have put 40% of the population, and let me tell you this, they didn't have the expertise or experience in oil and gas, and so there's no country, but we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to learn from so many countries that got the Dutch diseases or the resource curse. We have an ample opportunity, and Amanda's statement quite clearly is about a shared governance. It's about inclusive governance. And that's the only way, when it comes to the oil and gas, that's the only way we can do it together. But no, they want to use the one-seat majority and control the entire thing. I don't know. I think by now the money must probably removed from the Federal Reserve. It's probably gone already. Because that money is going to go to pay debt that they took over $200 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I want your listeners to understand. So when you're going to look forward that, I will get oil, I will go look good, I will country again like Dubai. If you do this kind of policy that is not going to be trickle down to the community level, then you can't have that. It ain't going to work. You understand? We saw them over what should I suppose to say? They misbudget or miscalculate the budget by 15%. They came to the National Assembly for 2 supplemental that came up to over $49+ billion. So how can you miscalculate? You understand? And now you're gonna go control the oil money that we put in a Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be part of that, supposed to go to what we call a sovereign wealth fund, so that we can invest in other companies around the world to have the input coming into us back in Guyana here, like the Norwegian did. The Norwegian did that so excellent and well. In fact, the Norwegian, imagine that, giving us money from the Red Plus, for the Red Plus program, to help protect our forest by doing the same oil and gas thing here, but the way that they invest their money, they invested in 27 countries around the world. Over 9,000 plus businesses around the world invest the money. So these are things that are seen absent from the bill. Um, there's no definite uh, policy or plan that it will happen. They keep talking about master plan and annual master plan, but there's no direct content of these plans.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been in a schedule
Yep.
in the bill attached. So I'm worried, Karen. I'm worried.
Answer. And you know, we Chinese, we all have a right to be worried because again, past actions is a good predictor of future actions. Past action is a good predictor, and the last year we've had under this installed regime, their own supporters are surprised at the madness, total madness. Business people are very worried about the future. The ordinary folks, the man on the street, very worried. The man on the ground, the small man, the grassroots, very worried about life under this installed regime because we've had 18 months and there's little to be hopeful for. Little to be hopeful for. You read Kaicho News, read Starbuck News, read these independent dailies, and you'll get a sense of what is happening. Y'all think it's happening AFC only? Talking? Trenches? Y'all better read widely. You want to be involved in politics? You want to be involved in current affairs? You better read widely. Read widely. And that's what we always say to our folks. Get all the information. Get all the information you can. And we're happy that programs such as these has been that kind of reservoir where we pull from a variety of sources, credible sources. That's why you hear me quoting Starbuck News. You hear me quoting, Kaicho News. You hear me even referring to Chronicle. Right? Because we want you to have all sides of the information so that you can decipher, right, the bull, the BS from what is real, the spin, the propaganda of the PPP from what is valid and credible information. MP Walton is here.
Jared, let me say this. I've learned so far in life that the secret of good life is always balance. And I want to dial back to that activity that took place over the weekend. I want to say that there's absolutely nothing wrong with charitable acts. There is always a place for that type of activity in the world. What I would hope to see, however, is a balance. Because I have a fundamental difficulty with us ignoring the fact that we can create a handout economy.
Hamper Nation.
Fair.
That is what we call it. Hamper Nation.
You understand? I have a difficulty with that. I want to see as much energy placed on calling for job creation, calling for support for small businesses and entrepreneurs. We have to move beyond giving a man a fish. We have to move beyond that to teaching a man to fish. And we have to even move beyond that to teach a man how to own a lake so that he could fish. There's a fundamental problem that I have that we seem sometimes to miss the forest for the tree. We cannot continue to condone a society where I often use this example with my children. I said, a man cannot take away your car or give you a bicycle when you are entitled to a car and demand that you must be grateful. Yes, this thing has to be balanced. And what the government is doing, they have corrupted the procurement system that benefits some of these same people that are now going back into the communities as angels and giving handouts. And whilst I do not have a problem with that at a fundamental level, I have a problem because the system continues to support this type of handout state. And we create problems. We create problems in our country, and then we have people who create the problems and then they rush in as the saviors. I have a problem with that approach. I want to see a system of governance where people have a fair shot. And if you fail, it must not be because the system is stacked against you. It must be because of your lack of effort. But here we have a country, Guyana, where people are struggling, they are working, and they are unable to make ends meet, Sharon. I often harken back to this example of Norway. Norway is a country of 5 million, and each citizen has a saving or a worth pegged at 200,000 US dollars. And that is because of how they manage the oil wealth. Guyana should not be with 1 million people in the position where people have to line up in droves for handouts. There is a problem there. There is a fundamental problem there. So I have no difficulty with the charitable acts. I have a difficulty with a system that causes our people to have to rely on handouts to survive when there is elite in this country that are living high off the hog and high off of the labor of our people. When you have public servants who go to work every day to keep the wheels of this country turning, and many of them have to line up for a handout the way we saw happening in droves. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. That is what we have to be focusing on. That is what we have to be focusing on. You got to look at that picture and but hold on, there's something wrong with this. There's something wrong with this. But you have people crushing and throwing each other for hampers. Does that not alarm Guyanese? It ought to alarm every right-thinking Guyanese. It ought to alarm us. It means that people in this country, as Gerard rightly say, are starving. Things tight. People cannot make ends meet. Gerard, and I want to say that we have to safeguard against the mentality of becoming complacent and being content with handouts. Our foreparents had to deal and live off of handouts. We, as a generation, have to determine in our hearts that that is not going to be us. You understand? We have the capacity to have a country where every citizen is capable of earning a living based on how hard he or she is willing to work and based on how they are willing to apply themselves. And that is what we must demand, and nothing less should be acceptable.
Fantastic. You know, I'm looking at a quote from James Bond on the very issue, and some people took umbrage with James sheltering Ashruddin Muhammad under this umbrella. The optics, people say, looks bad, but I don't want to subtract from the good that was done, and nobody's hitting anybody who received the hamper or the people who will have shared the hamper what we're looking at is the fact that we have to be sharing hampers in 2022. And this is what James said in response a short while ago on social media. He said, there are some amongst us who would ignore the good we do in this world to focus on an umbrella. We must never give up hope in making the world a better place. We will be called names. We will be labeled traitors or sellout, even house Negroes. But we must never forget who we are and who we serve. I've said over the years, I've said over and over again, I, James A. Bond, will never need the PPPC. Neither will the PPPC need me. I do not have to kiss ass, bow, or stoop to achieve anything in life. I've worked for the little I've achieved. I've had successes, I've had failures, and I've always remained the same person I was to those who know me from Bagottville, Mabaruma, Liliendal, St. Joseph's, President's College. No one on social media or anyone in life, no one on social media or anyone in life tell me who to love, who to associate myself with, or who to be friends with, or who to be loyal to, or who to shelter under an umbrella. So knock yourselves out over a picture and a post. Ricky, what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Sherrod, you see, I mean, I respect James' position and the position that he took on that. But then he has to understand the political game in this. The political game is that these guys are businessmen, and they will play to the side of politics. And that is what he's failed to understand. Unless they have some collectors, I mean, that is what he's saying. You understand that the company, Mohammed, has given the party a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that, and that is where you have to separate the sheep from the wolves. You can't want to give, if you want to give, it's your free will. It's your free will to collect. But you can't want to use that as an advantage. And these people are getting more. And we know what happened. We know exactly the major financing for the PPP party was whom. And then you cannot want to go wrong and giving out handouts as we wanted to the people to make it look like, you know, you're doing great for the nation. I was suddenly doing great for the nation. I seen people commented about the PR strategy and the bad PR that they're using. This is about that. This is sending a message that things are really tight, as you normally put it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's sending a tremendous message because a policy should be a one that govern all, not one set of people. And this is a distinction I want our people to understand. And it's like a social class. It's like an upper class and a lower class. And probably there's a middle class. This is how the PPP separates the power. And that's how they use divide and conquer. They are going to separate, they get the friends and the families and the cronies and all of that at the top. That is their thing. Then you have the middle class who will stand sometimes on neutral ground and try to get by. Then you have the lower working class who always feel the blunt of what's happening. And as Amanda rightfully points out, I mean, the Norwegian and the 5 million versus just below 1 million, we have enough money to govern. We have enough money to secure the future of our generation to come. And so we have to really, I want the people to understand that because of the political choice they made, they are going to mess up, for a word like that, their own children and grandchildren's future because of the choice that they made.
Which is the crux of the matter.
We had in the policy, and they can go back and read the 2019 Act, and you will see, because some of them laugh me and say, why I was in government, why I didn't do that. I said, but you have to read the 2019 Act, the Natural Resources Fund Act. You have to read it, and then you will see that we had an oversight committee that will manage this fund. And they were the best. And who's the oversight committee? It's the Guyanese people. So you can't make a political point, or because you want to talk, without reading what's happening. And you rightfully said the opening statement, Sherrod. The trenches them have to read and read wide to understand both sides of what's happening. Nobody didn't know. Let me tell you this, and I get a lot of people blaming me, and they're probably upset that I'm sharing the pictures with Jagan hold that mace. I want to throw it on the ground. But I wanted to create a balance of narrative. You see, as soon as a natural resources bill they pass it in Parliament, you see the amount of television program. Every program television you switch on, they're talking to defending the natural resources bill. Now, if you feel as a government that you have passed this bill in a rightful manner and correctly, why are you going to defend it? You already passed it. You said you did consultation. If we did not expose these kind of things, then the people like the Bar Association who came out blatantly and said, you know what, we were never consulted. The accounting people who complaining, they said that they write a proposal that was sent to the government, the Ministry of Natural Resources, and they dump it in a garbage bin. If we did not put those policies and say, look, 90% of the accountants should be hired from Guyana, then they would have never put it in. So don't talk about consultation. So why are they not coming after? And this is my point. Why are they coming after to defend what they have done when they already done it? What sense does it make? It shows that there's a weakness, Sherrod. It shows that there's a gap. It shows that they're under pressure. And we have to ensure that the Guyanese people continue to apply to that pressure. That is what we have to ensure to do. And we will keep exposing them all the time. Every single thing that the authority we're going to expose them. And every opportunity they got, they're blaming the APNU AFC. APNU AFC.
And they're doing a bundle of nonsense. They're doing a bundle of nonsense. Well, yeah. 20 months in, they're still looking back. Oh, when the APNU AFC was in, 20 months in, still blaming us. Still blaming us. You know, I want to thank all the folks who are joining us, those persons who are now joining us. Hundreds of persons are listening to our podcast Below the Belt with yours truly, Sherrod Duncan. Sherrod, I'm Sherrod in 2022. No longer Sherrod. Sherrod, you got to up it a little bit. And I'm privileged to be joined by members of Parliament, Amanzo Walton Desir and Dunarine, Ricky Ramsuru. Good to have these fantastic members of Parliament with me today on the podcast. And so good to see so many of you, Justin Halley and Diane Gravzandi, Colin Barnwell, Valita Marcus, Claudette Bovelewis is here as well. Andrew Cuthbert, who says that James is PPP, Marshall Glasgow. You know, this getter you call Facebook ain't easy. But we're grateful for all those persons who are joining us from Twitter to YouTube to Facebook and all the other mediums as well. Some of you guys are watching this right on WhatsApp because folks have shared the live stream with you there, the link with you there. And we're grateful for all of you guys. Why don't you take the opportunity to share the live stream as you're at it? And we want to see those emojis as well. Folks, you know, we talked during the discussion on what should be the posture of people. We've just come out of the 21st Biannual Delegates Congress of the PNCR. Amanza has been elected, if I'm not mistaken, to the Central Executive and what is the word I'm looking for? And rightfully so. The phrase rightfully so should be elected to the central exec of the party there. And one of the things people would have been asking for, I think, and I say this very reservedly, is for a more activist, a more robust opposition, whatever they mean by that. But I think there's a part to play for not only civil society, but the grassroots, for people in the diaspora, for people at home, by and large. Amanzo and Ricky, as we look to the closing moments of our program, what should be the posture as these folks share the live stream and show us those emojis out there as well? What should be the posture of all of us moving into 2022 as regards our disposition to this installed regime?
Sharon, I believe that we have to focus. I believe that as a people and as a country, we have to focus. I liken this situation to a tree. you can't see the root. You see the leaves and the branches. All of what's happening, who holding umbrella for who, are leaves and branches. There's a root that
Mm-hmm.
feeds that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the axe has to be put to. And the root is a system of corruption and of corrupt governance that is bent on creating a state of the have and the have nots. That is bent on ensuring that the income gap is widened, that the education gap is not closed. And I have
Mm-hmm.
no apologies for saying this. The sooner we realize that there is a system of governance bent on making certain citizens of Guyana second class citizens in their own country, you realize that we have to focus. We have to focus. The same amount of energy it takes to talk about who holding an umbrella and how it looks is the same amount of energy it will take to sound your voices against this farce of a natural resource fund.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
same
Point taken.
energy that it
Talk to us.
takes to go line up for a handout is the exact energy that it takes to go into the street and protest to make sure that you are not condemning your future generations to having to line up for handouts.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to
Mm-hmm.
focus on
Whole
what
of
it is that
focus.
we are doing.
Whole of
Because
focus.
energy is energy is energy. It is simply how you choose to apply it. It don't take no different levels of energy. And you can go and brave the hot sun, stand up with umbrella for a handout. For a handout when you are entitled to so much more, Sharon. But you cannot, if we call to say we are going to stand against the natural resource fund, you cannot keep the same energy as we just say to go and defend the rights of your children and of your children's children. And Sherrod, unless we as a people learn to hold a focus, let me tell you something. That is what the PPP does. In the wrong direction, but they do it
Mm-hmm.
and constantly fail as people to hold their feet to the fire. So my words to our people in 2022 is you had better hold a focus
Whole of
because
focus.
this is the year that is going to decide Guyana's future. It can decide your children's future. And all of these big wigs that rolling around and handing out this and handing out that have the ability to protect themselves, to protect their families, and you, my people, will be the vulnerable ones. Because when the time came for you to stand up, remain silent.
Ricky, the point I was making earlier is whether Aubrey Norton is leader of the PNCR as he is, or it was Harman, people got a part to play. MP General Ramsrup. Ricky.
Thank you, Sharad. Look, democracy, this word called democracy, I don't think people quite understand what is a democracy or what is a democratic society. You know, they speak about democracy, the TV speak about democracy because they're talking about their political votes and things and so on. Democracy is where the equal opportunity should present to every single Guyanese of this country. That is what democracy should be. It should not be, as Samantha said, you line up for this and line up for that. You should have an opportunity to access what is rightfully yours. And that is where that is how we designed that natural resources fund bill. That was the money that was supposed to be for all of you. So my dear citizen of Guyana, this is what you have to keep in mind. You have to ensure that this bill here is the one that is going to mess everything up. You have to we can remove, together with you and us, we can remove them back from power. We're gonna change back and put back this oversight and this management on this natural resources bill for the next election. We are going to do that because we are the one who put it there. Because we want you to have the benefit of this wealth that we are supposed to be getting. Everybody's talking about the fastest growing economy and all these things and so on. But if the people doesn't get it, Sharad, if you don't feel the impact of it, how is it, or what's the sense that you're having a fastest growing economy? For whom or for where? Where's the money?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the money?
Mm-hmm.
It is only going to the few, and that is reasons why I'm saying that there's so much work has to be done to that local content bill and the natural resources bill. Those are the two bills that was important for you, for the Guyanese people. Both of those bills. We have to ensure that we set back those bills the way that we had it. I don't know if you see our local content policy plan that we had before we put it into a bill. It was all for the Guyanese people, and especially, and it doesn't only provide or benefit the current businesses, but it's allow other businesses to rise and to grow and to form new businesses, becomes entrepreneur. And that, we had the Princeton development strategy, and that was the overarching principle and guidelines of how we were to be managing this whole economy. So I'm calling on my citizens of Guyana to hold the line. You have to brace for impact, yes, but hold the line and be with us throughout 2022. We are going to take the challenge to the PPP government. That is what we are going to do. We're going to take this challenge right up to them. And we're going to show them that people power matters. Your power matters. So we have to do this together. Together we can remove them from power, and we are going to set this thing back exactly how we want it to be. Because we want your inclusivity, we want your governance. We do just like the US, United States. United States have a system where they have like a card. They can pose this card to you, and you write as a citizen, I'm telling you, no, Sharad, you can write your concerns and what your expectations are and post it back to them. That is a democratic system. That's how it works, where the citizens dictate and direct what they want. You didn't put these people in power for them to get rich. Is that what you did? No, I don't think so. You put the people to ensure that you can
talk the things, my brother.
Your
children,
the things. Your current generation and the future generation are well protected. That is what you put the government for. Not for them to get rich. Not for them to get bank accounts all over the world already. What do you have? What does the working and lower class of people have? So, Sharon, thank you very much to have me on the program.
Thanks for that intervention, Ricky. Go right ahead, Malta.
It has occurred to me as I'm ruminating on what Ricky is saying.
I love that phrase. It has occurred to me.
We have a government that has mastered the art of distracting Guyanese. And so I really want to reiterate our need to focus. I want to endorse what Ricky has said. That democracy, demos, means people. People rule. That is the etymology of the word democracy. We just say these things without understanding the deep-seated meanings that they have. And we have to understand that it is a government that has to be by the people and for the people. So you have the power to change the situation. You are not helpless as a people. Power is actually in your hands. And what you have to resist is a government that will come to tell you that you do not have any power. We, the select few, the elite, have the power. That is not the case. That is not the case. And this year, we will continue to do our part. We'll continue to expose the government. We will continue to educate the people, and we will continue to agitate for change. But I want to be clear that the people also have a role to play, and it is together that we will bring the change that we want to see to this dear land of ours.
Fantastic point. Fantastic point. And um, I could not have put it in any better terms. Both MPs, Amanzo Walton Desir and Ricky Ramsrup, thanks for your tremendous contributions in today's program. You know, in just a short while back, I remember Kemraj Ramjatan, leader of the Alliance for Change, and Aubrey Norton, we were talking about what is the role of an opposition. And Aubrey Norton, then just an ordinary citizen, said the role of an opposition is to educate, agitate, and mobilize. You know, I love alliteration, and I would put it the other way. I would say mobilize, educate, and agitate. Just for the ring on those words. And Kemrat says the role of an opposition is to expose, to oppose, and depose. I love those two phrases: educate, agitate, mobilize. Expose, oppose, and depose. And that is what we're going to be about in this coming year 2022, because these folks are bad. These folks are bad for this country. The PPP, that is. Again, Amanzo Walton Desir, Member of Parliament, the Honorable Ricky Leon Ryan Ramsrup, the Honorable Member of Parliament as well. Great to see you guys, and I'm tremendously pleased that you took the invitation to be in the ring this evening and share your insights on these multitudes of matters. Today, this multitude of matters. Thank you guys, Amanzo Walton Desir and Ricky Ramsrup.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Sharon.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That being said, folks, that's our program time for today. And I want to encourage you guys, you know, whichever part of the political divide you fall under, or you aren't political at all, like that woman I met outside of an ATM yesterday on Cherry Street. She said, I'm not, I follow politics as much as I can, but I ain't political. If you like her, you know, has to be a year with a difference in which we're more vigilant, we're more militant, we hold the government of the day, the installed regime for us, this installed regime, we hold them accountable. And if you are a supporter of the regime, if you're a trenchy, you have a greater responsibility to hold them accountable and not to be silent. Look, I found a beautiful book, 1,001 Quotations. I bought this book recently in Austin's bookstore. You guys got to read. We got to read widely. Not because I don't like Guyana Times, I ain't reading Guyana Times. And so kudos for all of the trenches who come and listen to us, to all the supporters of the installed administration who listen to us. Kudos to you. That is to your credit. You are hearing the other side. You're listening to the other side. Read widely. Examine issues. Be open-minded. The era of blind support is gone. And I want to leave it to you as we end today's broadcast with this quote I found in this beautiful book in Austin's book. So I have fallen in love with reading books online. I buy books through the Kindle app. I can highlight and save my quotations and so on, but I still love to hold a physical book in my hand. And this one is called 101 Quotations. I bought it at Austin's bookstore, and Austin got some fantastic books. Folks, listen, the only thing I would tell Austin, the only advice I'd give Mr. Austin, I would love to have like a little cafe kind of adjoining Austin's bookstore where I can read, I can buy a book, sit down and read, listen to some good music, all in that environment of that library that the Austins have there, the Austin's bookstore. And so, you know, kudos to Mr. Lloyd Austin for the work he's been doing over the year. I hope you guys are still giving books as gifts, as Christmas presents, as New Year's gift present. I dare say, let me boast a little bit. I give my wife a little gift for Christmas and also for the New Year. So those of you who give New Year's gift as well, you know, pick out a nice book for somebody or buy yourself. treat yourself. This is my Christmas present to myself. I bought 2 books at Austin's bookstore. I think it was 1,001 quotation and 1,001 ideas or inventions, something of that sort. And I want to leave one of these quotations with you. And I'll try to do that on a daily basis on our podcast, Below the Belt. This is Sun Tzu, the political strategist, the war strategist, philosopher, Chinese political strategist, military strategist, Sun Tzu. Here's what he says as we go today. He says, to fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. You got to think upon that a little bit. To fight and conquer the enemy, to fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. And this is Sun Tzu writing 500 BC, hundreds of centuries ago. To fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Think upon that as you go today. Guys, we cannot do these programs without you. And that is why we've asked consistently for you guys to come on board and to partner with us. And some of you have done that consistently, but so many of you could help us to build out our programs, to produce more programs like this, to produce them more professionally, guys, and to do so many other things. We still use a part of the contributions to give back to communities and so forth. And we have several platforms available, guys, on Cash App. Our platform there, or the handle is the $ or the $ in the ring 592. That's our Cash App handle, the $ or the $ in the ring 592. At PayPal, we are in the ring 592 at gmail.com. That's our email address at PayPal, in the ring 592 at gmail.com. We can be had via the local Cash App, the GT&T MMG system. Our number there is 627-6963. Our MMG number is 627-6963. We are available as well via Western Union and MoneyGram. We ain't got a problem with them. They ain't got a problem with us. And if you need any guidance on this or any other issue, you have an information tip, you got some photographs, you got some video of something that is newsworthy, information worthy for us to share with our viewers and listeners, guys, use that very MMG number via WhatsApp, 627-6963. And as we go again, that quotation from Sun Tzu, right in the 500 BC, he says, to fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. That being said, folks, that's our program for today. Stay safe wherever you are. And guys, we are watching that big snowstorm in the US of A, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all those persons who are affected one way or the other by that massive snowstorm in the USA. And we're picking up some reporting that suggests that a major winter storm that began on Sunday hit the Southwest and has left up to 500,000 people without power as it moved up the East Coast, with Washington, D.C. and its federal offices closing down. The report says the National Weather Service issued a winter storm warning and predicted that some areas are likely to see snowfall of 8 to 12 feet. Folks, I was in the USA just as the fall was setting in, and that place was cold. So I want to know what 8 to 12 inches of snow is like. Snow, the report says, has already hit or is expected to hit Baltimore, Philadelphia, and parts of Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, and Virginia, according to AccuWeather. And our thoughts and prayers on that basis are to all our Guyanese folks in that part of the diaspora. Guys, stay safe. And all the Americans across the board who are going to be affected in one way or other by this massive snowstorm across the U.S. Guys, our thoughts and prayers with you. Stay warm and stay safe wherever you guys are. That's our program time for today. Really good having each and every one of you. Desiree Manuel, we see you. Deborah Van Sultan, we see you. I see Paramount, Paranand Shivnot. Paranand Shivnot. We see you out there as well. Valdrine Hackett. We see you. Valdrine Hackett. Miss Hackett, Happy New Year to you. Pace and power in 2022. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you tonight in the ring. We're going to continue this discussion. See you tonight at 8 sharp in the ring. Thanks for joining our international podcast, Below the Belt. That's our time. Stay safe.